Yeah.
Good evening, everyone. Please stand for a Pledge of Allegiance and an invocation. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Dear God, I pray you bring peace today for those who are struggling. Bring hope to those who are feeling helpless. Bring comfort to those who are suffering in illness. May we all look to you for strength each day. Amen.
Amen.
Roll call.
Mr. Beck.
Here.
Ms. Lees.
Here.
Mr. Bryant.
Here.
I move approval of the agenda.
Second.
Discussion. Roll call.
Ms. Lees.
Aye.
Mr. Bryant.
Aye.
Mr. Beck.
Aye.
There are no approval of minutes. There's no fiscal officer reports. There's no presentation. There's no public hearing. So I move to go to old business, and I move approval of Resolution G 2022-41, resolution approving a zone change from A residential to OO planned residence for subdivision or subservient office located at 11720 Snyder Road.
Second.
Discussion. Okay, before we get into this, I would like our law director to explain the process that we're going to go through tonight.
Okay. I was asked to provide just a summary of the procedure that's going to happen tonight. Some of you may have been here at the last meeting where we had the public hearing, and that public hearing was closed during that meeting. So
You tabled it, but you did not close comment.
the public,
Trustees have the authority at any time.
sir, the public hearing was closed.
So you're telling me you don't want to hear from your residents?
I'm telling you that the public hearing was closed at the last meeting. There will not be any comment from the public. There will not be any comment from the applicant. There'll be no new information submitted, no new documents, no new plans. The public hearing was opened and it was closed at the last meeting. The only item of business for the trustees tonight is the consideration of Resolution 2022-41. At this point, they've made a motion to adopt, which is a requirement to get into the discussion period, and now it's to the trustees to discuss the resolution and ultimately to vote on it.
Okay, is that it?
That's it.
Okay, I would like to explain why I asked it to be tabled. Okay, all right, how's that? Okay, so the reason why I asked for it to be tabled, because I wanted to make sure we were considering all the legal evidence. Some things could be omitted, some things could not. I wanted to make sure that I went back through the zoning commission meeting and read the minutes. I wanted to go through the tape, because if you were here, you know these meetings get very emotional. And so I wanted to take the emotion out of it, because if you came to me and you wanted something changed, you would want me to make that decision based on evidence, not on emotion. So that's why I asked for it to be tabled, so I could get everything together in my head and make an informed decision. So that's why it was tabled. And so I went through that process, so I'm ready to vote. So I know Phil has a statement he wants to read. So let me pass it to him, and then if Ken wants to make one, so you all understand the whole process that we go through. We did nothing but make sure that everything was a legal process. Okay. Go ahead.
Can you speak up, please?
Yes, can you hear me okay? Yes. All right, thank you. Excuse me. As Jody said, we have been considering much about this topic since the April 5th public hearing. And I just, for nothing else but point of information, I just wanted to read some thoughts that I had. First of all, the property owner and developer, the Morelia Group, acquired the 11720 Snyder property in 2019 and originally approached the township with a townhome concept and attended the township land use planning meetings occurring at this time with the proposed property usage of attached single-family residential instead of individually separate houses. The Land Use Planning Committee was meeting at the same time period in 2019, and they agreed with the attached residential usage for this property. Then the developer changed their mind and studied an office building usage. Then COVID-19 hit, and office properties became vacant for the most part due to people working remotely. Then the developer changed their mind again and approached the township with a proposal for approximately 120 unit multifamily usage, which was revised to the current proposal of an 80 unit multifamily usage, including numerous variances. I'm not a property developer, but this process I can assume that for the combination of the low office demand plus the high residential demand equates to a desirable usage of residential, at least at this point in time. As an aside, for the benefit of our discussion and the public's information, I have visited the Morelia Group's public website and noted that they are headquartered in Symmes Township, Governor's Hill, and have completed numerous commercial and residential developments surrounding Symmes, and also completed educational developments, including one in Symmes. We received several emails from surrounding residents prior to the current Snyder Development April 5th public hearing. During the April 5th public hearing, we received a presentation from the Morelia Group relative to their current proposal of an 80-unit multifamily usage. The trustees had the opportunity to ask several pointed questions and listen to the developers' responses. Then we had the benefit of receiving the public's comments. 65 total individuals signed the attendance sheet, 32 of which were Symmes Township residents. 22 individuals provided public comment, 11 of which were Symmes Township residents. The concerns voiced before and during the April 5th public hearing were not necessarily opposed to development of the property, but were opposed to the specific current proposal of 80-unit development, the resulting vehicular traffic, and the multiple required variances. I would like to say that I really appreciate the process of bringing this proposal, not just to the trustees, but to the community, giving people the opportunity to understand what it is and let us do our job pushing and prodding, and to do that in a period of time that allows us to be really comprehensive and thoughtful before we vote. We know that the current zoning of residential A, which is what it is today, will ultimately result in a density of 7 total units. Practically speaking, it's a 3.6 total acreage, so it's currently zoned residential A, and there are multiple categories for zoning. So if you just take it at face value and abide by the residential A zoning, and you do the math, you know, the acreage equates to square footage, you could put 7 units on this parcel. Practically speaking, I don't believe that if only 7 units were designed, and constructed, they could not be sold for enough money to break even, let alone turn a profit. I don't know that for a fact. I'm just making the assumption. It's been zoned A for years and years, and no one has developed it. So that's an assumption on my part. We have heard from the surrounding residents that a zoning change to residential OO with a pre-approved density of 80 total units and the multiple required variances is too dense. Therefore, I propose we consider for discussion a modification that is consistent with OO regulation requirements with the following caveats. Zoning change from the existing residential A to residential OO, a density with a 36 maximum total units. Obtain all required approvals from the Ohio EPA, if applicable. Obtain all required approvals from the Hamilton County engineer. As an aside, the Hamilton County engineer previously stated the anticipated vehicular activity is below the threshold that requires a traffic impact study. But, we need to triple check that. Obtain all required approvals from the Hamilton County Planning and Development. Incorporate landscape screening between the building and Snyder Road. Ensure a roof line that is free from HVAC units and other mechanical, electrical, plumbing equipment. HVAC meaning heating, ventilating, air conditioning. Ensure no variances for either building or parking lot setbacks. And keeping in mind that the adjacent properties are the interstate, the sports club, and the county road. And finally, ensuring that school buses, delivery trucks, mail trucks, trash and recycling trucks, etc., can pull completely off Snyder Road into the parking lot and can turn around within the parking lot. So, in summary, I propose we consider for discussion the zoning change from the existing residential A to residential OO with a density of 36 maximum total units with the 7 caveats that I mentioned, and then give the developer the opportunity to make a maximum of 36 units work. Thank you.
Ken, do you have anything to say?
No.
Okay, do you want to entertain the discussion from Phil?
It's up to you.
Well, we can discuss it. I'm kind of at the point, we're here to make a decision on this resolution. And I would like it to go through the process of zoning.
I agree.
Could you speak up, please?
It's working. I mean, I don't know what to tell you.
Just talk
It's
right
on.
into it.
I have a lot of signage, so I have a very raspy voice tonight. So I apologize. Fighting, it's been
Just put it
terrible
right
today.
by your mouth.
Just me. It's my voice. I'm sorry. It's raspy. So I kind of feel that it needs to go through the zoning process. But Ken, what are your thoughts?
I came here tonight to vote on Resolution G 2022-41 as proposed and for which we had a public hearing. I was ready to vote at that time and agreed for it to be tabled, but I'm ready to vote on it as is. And I honestly feel that we should go back through the process again, and if the developer wants to develop at a 00 maximum and meet all, no variances and so on and so forth, then he needs to propose it and go through the cycle again.
All right, I believe at that meeting, I asked him why we couldn't do 36 or 40, and he said it wasn't cost effective.
I agree. I heard the same comment.
Okay.
He said that he could not live with the 10 units per acre.
So I think that's something that our zoning board needs to look at and make a decision.
Well, the decision really is ours. We either.
Right, but
we
I
either
think it's a
approve-
process.
We either approve the zoning change or we don't. That's the way I see it. That's what's on the table right
Or
now.
we approve it with a modification.
I think that it's a very creative idea. I like what you're thinking. I really do. I just think that it needs to go through the process. And so, Ken, you agree?
I'm ready to vote.
Okay. Any more discussion? Okay, roll call.
Mr. Bryant,
No.
Mr. Beck,
I'm voting no on the 80, which is the current resolution.
Ms. Lees,
No on the 80. Okay, we have no new business. We have no executive session, so I move to adjourn.
Second.
Roll call. Roll call.
Ms. Lees.
Aye.
Mr. Bryan.
Aye.
Mr. Beck.
Aye.
Okay.
Yeah.